Hi, I'm Mrs. Shepherd, and you are my 6th grade students. Imagine if this described your bedtime routine. After a few minutes of feverish climbing, Cosmo reached his level. A narrow walkway, barely the width of his hand, serviced each pipe. Cosmo slid across carefully, gripping a rail on the underside of the walkway above him. His pipe was 4 columns across. Cosmo swung inside, landing on the foam rubber mattress. 10 seconds later, the lights went out. A sick yellow glow lit the interior of each pipe. Dinner. The meal had been thrown in earlier by a marshal in a cherry picker. The meal packs had been tested a few years previously by the no sponsors for use by soldiers in the field. The trays and water bottles were luminous and also edible, which meant that the orphans could eat after lights out, saving the management a few dinars. The tray was made from a rough, unleavened crisp bread, and the water bottle from a semi-rigid gum. The Army had discontinued use of the meal packs following several lawsuits by soldiers claiming that luminous packs caused internal bleeding. The orphanage bought up the surplus and fed them to the orphans every single day. This describes the reality Cosmo Hill experienced for the first 14 years of his life at the Clarissa Frayne Institute for Parentally Challenged Boys, an orphanage that was more like a prison camp. Unimaginably depressing. It was so bad, Cosmo did not believe he would physically survive to age 15. So, when he saw an opportunity to escape, even though he would almost certainly die trying, he took it. He would have died from his injuries from escaping, but he was rescued by 3 teenagers, Stefan, Mona, and Ditto, who wasn't really a child, but looked like one. They all lived in the futuristic Satellite City, a bleak setting filled with danger. Cosmo's new friends were a team committed to destroying these mysterious blue creatures that sucked the life force out of injured and dying people, but were invisible to everyone else except them. That's a story you can read about in The Supernaturalist by Eoin Colfer, the same author who wrote the Artemis Fowl series. The Supernaturalist also comes in graphic novel format, which makes a lot of sense because when you read it, you can just see the action happening like a comic book. If you've seen the movie The Spider-Verse, that's what it reminded me of. Read it for yourself and see. Another book you might enjoy, also by Eoin Colfer, is The Wish List. This one is set in Ireland and is available in an audiobook, complete with an adorable Irish accent. Have a listen.
Chapter 2. Dead as doornails. The devil was not happy. Two, he said, drumming filed nails on the desktop. I was expecting 2 today. Beelzebub shuffled nervously. There are 2, Master, sort of. I have them, or it, whatever, in Pedmantine.
So that was a description of hell, which is where the character 14-year-old Meg Finn was headed in a botched burglary attempt, which was not her idea, but her friend Belch dragged her into it. A gas tank explosion killed both of them, and Belch's dog too. But right before she died, Meg had stood up for the old man they were robbing and tried to help him. So when her soul got to the end of the tunnel, her good deeds and bad deeds were exactly even, and there was no way for St. Peter and Beelzebub to decide whether she went up or down for all eternity. So Meg's soul got sent back to Earth to work it out. She didn't have a solid body, and the only person who could see her was Lowry McCall, the man she had to make amends to. Meg's task was to help Lowry accomplish 4 things he regretted not doing over the course of his life. That was the wish list. Meg discovered new skills like being able to teleport and being able to take over Lowry's body and do things that he would never have had the strength to do by himself. But she also had adversaries trying to keep her and Lowry from accomplishing the things on the list. Belch, who somehow got combined with his dog in the explosion that killed them, was also sent back to Earth to thwart them. If you've seen the Netflix series The Good Place, it's a lot like this book. It's funny and entertaining, and might occasionally make you think about what good and bad really are. One of the characters you'll meet is Meg's stepfather, who did some really mean things. Meg could make his life worse to get back at him, but that might have been the sort of thing that she would lose points for and end up going to hell. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you how the story ends. You're going to have to read it for yourself. If your school's library doesn't have the book, There are a number of options for getting it from the Los Angeles Public Library. If you have a library card, that looks like this. If you don't have one, you'll need to get one. So just go to the Los Angeles Public Library location nearest you. Here in Wilmington, we have one right across the street from Harry Bridges Span School, or there's one in Harbor City on Western, next to Narbonne High School. Since you are under 18, you'll need a parent to sign for you, and they will need either a driver's license or other photo ID and proof of residence like a utility bill. You should get the library card right away, and you can use it to check out books, order books that your nearest library doesn't have, but they can get from another library, or even download ebooks and audiobooks to your phone like I did. So that's all I have for today. Have fun reading!